minute of our time and pray in our various ways. I mean, I hope we are going to have a successful debate today. Okay, like I said, I am Abdul Karim Sise, the current Assistant Academic Secretary for the 8th Executive Council, and I welcome you all to the quarterfinals of the second edition of the Interstate Debate Championship, which is organized by the executives of the of the Association of Gambian Students in India. And today's debate is going to be between Madhya Pradesh and Delhi. And if we have Mr. President with us, can you please come in and give us opening remarks, please? Mr. Mbo, are you with us, please?
Yes, greetings everyone. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. Thank you so very much, Abdul Karim. Greetings everyone, and welcome back to another session of the GAM-IND Interstate Debate Championship. I believe today is going to be a competitive session because it marked the first round of the second session, in which a lot is expected from the participants, and I believe they are going to improve on their weak points, with that of last week. Actually, that is the most important part of this debate. That is to improve yourself, from it. Last time they debated, some suggestions were made, and some recommendations also were made, and the trainers themselves also told them or informed them about the points that they need to work on. So I believe today we are expecting a standard or even at least a better debate, compared to that of last week. On that note, I would like to welcome you and then wish you a successful, battle. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Mbo, for those opening remarks. Next on the agenda, we would like to invite our partners for this year's debate, which is the UTGDA. If we have Mr. Bide and the team, I know the number is a bit small right now, but we will want Mr. Bide to come in and give some clarifications because we are supposed to have some training yesterday, but we could not get one. So we would like Mr. Bide to come in and give some clarifications about the debate before we start, since we have only one session for today. So Mr. Bide, if you are comfortable, you can step in and make some clarifications about the debate before we start the session for today.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much, Mr. President, and the entire executive. I extend my greetings to all of you. To the debaters, I extend my greetings as well and welcome you to yet again another session of debate. And to the audience as well, thank you very much for joining in. So I would not want to get into specifics because we are adjudicating and it may implicate us in some ways. But I'll just go with the regular of telling the debaters what we expect and try to be more elaborate this time around, as opposed to the last sessions that we've had where I'll just tell them what we are looking at and what they would be, how much they will be graded for that particular thing. So I'll be more detailed this time. So before I get into the motion, let me get into expectation as judges. I hope you guys can hear me. My voice is a little not okay because
you are audible. You are audible.
Well. Yeah. So the first thing that we're looking at is the content, which is the most important as far as it's the most important, but do not focus. There are so many things that you need to focus on, but the content sets it all. It's more important than every other thing. So you'll be graded for content 10 marks, because when we look at the content, we look at how much you are able to connect your points, how much you are able to, how your points relate to the motion, and how well you're able to defend them. Because in most cases, debaters will just come and mention a point and not be elaborate about that, especially when the point is really obvious. They may not get into the details and explain. Like if you mention a very good point and everybody seems to understand what it means, you don't feel the need to go through it. But as that is for the audience perspective, but for the judges, as far as we are concerned, it is not our responsibility to elaborate on the points that you've already mentioned. It is your responsibility as a debater to make sure that every point that is mentioned is well explained. Because what a particular point may mean to you is not necessarily what it would mean to every other person. And as judges, we understand that, and we want to reserve that responsibility to you. So when you give your points, regardless of how good and obvious the explanation is, try to do your own explanation and try to convince the judges. So the conciseness. So the content is 5 marks. The conciseness is content is 10 marks. Conciseness, which is the time, how well you're able to manage your time, is 5 marks. So I've mentioned that it's not just with debate, it comes with everything that you do. If you're able to manage your time, it it makes you a good speaker. Because regardless of how good you speak, once you overstay, people get tired and bored of what you're saying. So it's very good for us as individuals and as young leaders to be able to manage yourself, especially as far as time is concerned. So timing is really important. You have 7 minutes. 7 minutes is a little, and it's too much as well. So it's your responsibility to make sure that you manage your time. So you have 7 minutes, and be careful of over debating and be careful of under debating. So over debating, you overstaying. Like you feel you're doing so much, so good, and you have to continue. Once your time is up, make sure that you wrap up and you're finished. And do not under debate as well, because if you debate for like 3 minutes, 4 minutes, it sends the implication, it sends the indication that you did not do enough research, or you do not have a proper understanding of what you're talking about. Because we cannot give you a motion to talk about issues that affect the Gambia, and you address everything in a particular regard, and you address everything in just 2 minutes or 3 minutes. So make sure that it all boils down to how much you understand and explain your points. But be careful of under debating or over debating. So your time is 5 marks, as I mentioned. So the rebuttals, which is of course very, very important. So when you want to tell us that this is what is right, highlight what is wrong and rebut, explain how it is wrong. But in most cases, people would not necessarily rebut. They may just highlight points. Like I said, the Prime Minister said that the government is doing bad. The Prime Minister doesn't know what he is saying. That is how they would rebut the points. But that is not actual rebuttal. When you say the Prime Minister said the government is doing well, tell us in fact the government is doing extremely well. The government has done this and this and this and this, and that is what makes the government doing well. So try to be elaborate with your rebuttals. Identify the claim. Tell us, address that particular claim by identifying the wrongs, and tell us what is right then. That is how you rebut your point. The rebuttals is 7.5 marks. The voice. So the voice is the highs and the lows, how you're able to flow at a regular pace. And I mentioned that it has nothing to do with you having a melodious voice or having a sonorous voice. It's how well you're able to maintain that voice tone throughout the debate. So voice is 5 marks. The logical presentation is 7.5. It's the coherence of your speech, how well you're able to join your points, how well you're able to move. And the structure would always help. Giving a structure and following that structure would ensure that you have a very logical presentation. You flow from doing this to that, and make sure that you use connecting words, and make sure that your points flow. Don't rebut, then strengthening, then give your point, then go back to rebutting again. Make sure that there is flow, there is proper flow of your presentation. So the expression, so logical presentation is 7.5 marks, very, very important as well. Expression is five marks, and expression needs not much elaboration. Grammar is 5 marks, and I mentioned that the grammar may not necessarily mean you using words to confuse us. If you use a grammar that I personally do not understand, I'll just listen to the explanation. If I'm able to understand, fine. If I'm not, then you put me and yourself in trouble. So you don't want to use very, very big words, but make sure that you use um, it's you don't necessarily have to use big words all in the name of grammar. It's not that you use words. Be mindful of language register, and you get the grammar. And the POI, as I mentioned, very, very important. When you're debating, since it's online, be very mindful of your screen. So if anybody requests for POI, you're able to accept, because if you don't, you may lose marks for that. Last week we were not very considerate about this, but this week we have to, because eliminations would be ongoing. So if you're debating, make sure that you're always looking at the screen. So if the person from the other side, from the opposition side, or from the opposite side, requests for POI, you're able to accept. So POI is 5 marks. And to the audience, please, I would want to request that you don't raise your hands. The raising of the hands is only for the debaters. So if you're not debating while the debate is ongoing, please do not raise your hand. And as usual, after the debate, we will give you the opportunity to request for your POI. To the debaters, know what time to request for POIs and what time not to. Once the first clap is gone, you can ask. And once the last clap is gone, you cannot ask again. Protected and unprotected time. I believe it's understood by the debaters. So that is everything that we're looking for. Content 10 marks, conciseness 5 marks, rebuttals 7.5 marks, voice 5 marks, logical presentation 7.5 marks, expression 5 marks, grammar 5 marks, and POI 5 marks as well. So that is all, unless the debaters want to seek clarity on certain areas that address, which we just started. It's subject to you, Mr. Chair. Whatever you think is okay.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Bitey, on those clarifications. And I would just like to add on one thing. I encourage everyone to keep the discussion respectful and focused, even though we know that today's debate, people will be having different opinions about the motion. So with that, I will just give it to Mr. Bitey and the team. Let's start the debate. Good luck to all.
Agasim, I would want you to chair, please.
Um, good day, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. Thank you very much, Mr. President, for giving me the honor of chairing the debate. I'm actually in traffic, so it will be a bit noisy. But yeah, let's hear from the proposer of the motion, the Prime Minister.
The current regime under President Adama Barrow, which came into power in 2017, following the departure of long-time ruler Yahya Jammeh, has been linked into various challenges that have contributed to the increase in crime in the Gambia. Mr. Speaker, I am Fansu Mane, and as the Prime Minister of this House, the motion I will be tabling reads: this House blames the current regime for the increase in crime in the Gambia. However, let me start by giving the structure of my debate. Start with definition of key terms found in the motion. Set my parameter. Outline key points. Summarize and conclude. Starting with the definition of key terms, which are blame, crime, and crime. Blame refers to the act of holding someone or something responsible for a negative outcome, problem, or wrongdoing. It involves assigning fault or accountability for causing a mistake, harm, or undesirable situation. Mr. Speaker, I would also like to outline the definition of crime, which is also part of the motion that I want to present. The current regime refers to the government or political administration that is presently in power and in control of a country. It includes the leader, officials, and institutions responsible for governing and implementing policies at the given time. Crime refers to the action or omission that constitute an offense and is punishable by law. Crime are typically acts that violate the legal code of a country or society, resulting in penalties ranging from fine to imprisonment or other form of punishment. To my perimeter, this House blamed the current regime for crimes from 2017 to 2024 in the Gambia. Now onto outlining my strong points. I will debate on the following points and give preference. Weak law enforcement, Mr. Speaker, is one of the points that I want to elaborate as far as increase in crime is concerned. My second point would be economic hardship. That also has a relationship with increase in crime in the Gambia. Last but not least, corruption and impurity. Mr. Speaker, with law enforcement, if law enforcement agencies are unable to are underfound, poorly trained, or lack resources, this could lead to ineffective policing, allowing crime to flourish. I have so many references pertaining to my that point. One of the references state the World Bank governing and security in the Gambia. The World Bank has reported on the border governance challenges in the Gambia, including underfunding and inefficiency in police servicing, particularly in the security and the law enforcement sector, for the inability to combat rising crime effectively, the rising crime effectively. Reference World Bank, the Gambia Governance and Public Sector Performance Report 2022. Mr. Speaker, adjudicators, and my fellow honorables, this house can bear with me that economic hardship has been a contributing factor to increase in crime in the Gambia. If the current regime has failed to address economic challenges, including unemployment and poverty, these are factors that could lead to desperation and increase in crime activities. I have references to support my point. The African Development Bank country strategy paper. The country strategy paper discussed the economic challenges faced by Gambians, including higher unemployment rate and poverty level. The paper notes that this economic hardship has not been adequately addressed by the current regime, leading to increased crime activities as individuals turn into illegal means for survival. Reference is the Gambia Country Strategy 2021-2025. My second point Mr. Speaker, corruption and impunity. A government preserved to tolerate corruption or fail to handle officials accountable by creating an environment where criminals believe they can act with impunity. Reference U.S. Department of State Human Rights reports. The U.S. Department of State highlighted issues of corruption and lack of accountability in its annual human rights reports. It notes that the perception of impunity for corruption officials undermines the rules of law and contribute to an environment where crime can flourish. The reference is U.S. Department of State, the Gambia, 2023 Human Rights Report. Summarize and give reference to my point. The summary of the key points blaming the current regime for increase in crime in the Gambia, like weak law enforcement, economic hardship, corruption and impunity, police instability, the ongoing political instability and governance challenge from ineffectively managing securities. Conclusion, Mr. Speaker, the overall conclusion, the current regime's shortcoming in law enforcement, governance, economic management, and judicial effectiveness have created a conducive environment for crime to increase in the Gambia. Addressing these issues is crucial for restoring public safety and trust in government institutions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Prime Minister, for those wonderful submissions. Kindly give us a minute and we'll get back to the opposition leader. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's now hear from the opposition leader.
Greetings, Mr. Speaker, judges, honorable members, all protocols observed. I rise to stand against the motion that Gambia government is responsible for increased crime rate in the Gambia. Mr. Speaker, please allow me to give the parameters of my debate, because when we say parameters in the British parliamentary concept, parameters refers to the way or the style in which your debate is guided, or the specific guidelines for your debate and boundaries within which the debate is what is conducted. First, which include the key points given. Mr. Speaker, allow me to define my key points for you. The key points in this subject that the House blamed the current regime of the Gambia in the increased crime rates in the country, which myself and my team says a big no to that. When we say blame, The blame is defined as the act of holding someone or something accountable for wrongdoings. This is what called blame. So the current regime is the existence system or the existing system or method of governments currently in present or currently in place governing the affairs of the nation. Mr. Speaker, when I say crime means what? Crime is an intentional omission or intentional commission of an act that deems socially what? Harmful and dangerous, prohibited and punishable under the law. Mr. Speaker, I would like to reboot the Prime Minister's point that the increased crime rate in the Gambia is due to economic hardship. Rebooting him on that point, I says a big no to what he says economic hardship in the Gambia. That is the reason for increased crime rates in the Gambia. Mr. Speaker, the world we are living today, economic hardship is global. Talk less of a small country like the Gambia, which has very few or limited resources, a very poor country like the Gambia. Economic hardship is global everywhere in the world. It's global, it's in the entire African nation. So you cannot blame the crime rate in the Gambia linking to what economic hardship. We have seen the Gambia government made efforts. They established anti-crime commissions. They established anti-corruption commissions. We have anti-crime units, which are really there to enhance the security and the safety of our country. Mr. Speaker, a government that is doing that for its people, spending millions of dollars to make it so that crime is controlled in your country, to making sure that the economic hardship is controlled, which is global, of course, everyone knows that. We have all traveled across the length and the breadth of this world. We went to so many places that we are all aware of that. And Mr. Speaker, you can concur with me that you cannot link the crime rate in the Gambia to economic hardship. There are countries in the world that are very poor. For instance, Somalia, for instance, the crime rate in that country is drastically going down. And there are poor nations. So as a result, you cannot link with economic hardship. The Gambia government has established or has enhanced the police force, the police system, by giving them patrol mobiles, by giving them all the materials and the equipments needed so that they can control crime. So on that note, how can you blame a government that is doing that for its citizens? How can you blame that person for the crime in that country? Mr. Speaker, we have recently seen the Barrow's Peace Award by the Mauritanian, it's a Mauritanian initiative in partnership with Abu Dhabi Peace Forum. Barrow's Peace Award as the most peaceful president in the sub-region. Let me relate my words. It doesn't only mean that the peace award that is given to Barrow is Barrow himself being peaceful. It's because Gambia is ranked as one of the most peaceful countries in the sub-region. Gambia has never experienced war. Gambia, we are peaceful. Every family, Gambia is one family. So my personal point and my team's point to the increased crime rate in the Gambia, I will link it to what? Personally or parental care or parental training. Mr. Speaker, when you reach the age of maturity, which conventionally is 18 years old, your sense of memory, your sense of your capacity is well developed, is well acquainted that you have the right to do and to differentiate between right and wrongs. Everything starts from home. The parents should be held responsible for their children, for what their family does outside over there. They should be held responsible instead of the government for what the family members did. Not the government should be held accountable for that. Because the government is doing everything possible enhancing the police, as I mentioned, establishing the anti-corruption commissions. They establishing what? Or enhance what? The police forces by joint patrols almost every day in our country. So the government is doing well enough to make sure those crime rates are really controlled. If they are truly responsible for those crime rates, Mr. Speaker, the government will not spend millions into controlling crime in our motherland. Crime rate, for example, in the United States, which we term as one of the most developed countries and with sophisticated materials that they can monitor the entire length and breadth of the country within seconds, are having serious crimes every day. And we term United States, for example, as one of the most developed countries. In fact, in the case of United, Mr. Speaker, there are 21,570 murder cases in the United States of America. There are 139,380 rape cases, 243,600 robbery cases, assault 921,500 assault cases. United States of America is the superpower of the world. So talk less of the Gambia. So I stand firmly on my point that the Gambia government or the current regime of our country should not be blamed for the crime rate. Instead, we blame our individual selves, we blame the parenting, and we blame our homes. If every child is trained well in your house, before leaving into the society, you will actually know what to do and what not to do. In our countries,
Honorable Opposition Leader, your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Opposition Leader. So before we continue, Al-Gassim just indicated that he's struggling to connect back. So I'll appeal that we give him at least a minute to rejoin. Just a minute, please. Honorable Deputy Opposition Leader, if you're sad, you may please proceed with your points.
Hello.
Yes, you're audible, sir.
I'm audible, huh?
Yes.
Increase in crime in the Gambia is an ultimate challenge. Mr. Speaker, I am Fansu Mane, the Deputy Prime Minister of the House. The motion I will be tabling reads, this House blame the current regime for the increase in crime in the Gambia. However, let me start by giving you the structure of my debate, starting with the definition of the key terms found in the motion, set my parameters, outline my points, summarize and make conclusion. Starting with the definition of key terms, which are blame, current regime, crime, like as it has been stated by the Prime Minister as my first speaker. Mr. Speaker, blame refers to the act of holding someone or something responsible or a negative outcome, a problem or wrongdoing. It involves assigning fault or accountability for causing a mistake, harm, or undesirable situation. Current regime, Mr. Speaker, agitators, fellow honorables, the current regime refers to the government or political administration that is presently in power and in control of country. It includes the rulers, officials, and institutions responsible for governing and implementing policies at a given time. Crime refers to an action or omission that constitutes an offense and is punishable by law. Crimes are typically acts that violate the legal code of a country or society, resulting in penalties ranging from fine to imprisonment or other form of punishment. Mr. Speaker, to my parameter, this House blamed the current regime for crimes from 2017 to 2024 in the Gambia. Now onto outing my strong points. I will debate on the following points and give references. Mr. Speaker, adjudicators and fellow honorables present in this House, two of the most important points that I have in relation to crime, increase in crime in the Gambia: political instability or poor governance, poor judicial system, are the two important points that I want to elaborate as far as the motion is concerned. The political instability or poor governance, Mr. Speaker, Weak governance or instability in political system can create power vacuum or distract from effective managing security, giving room for crime to increase. One of the most important reference is the local news report, Governance and Crime. Gambian media outlets such as Point and Foroya have reported on political instability, impact the governance and contribute to rising crime rates. Article often discuss how changes in political leadership and uncertainty in governance create environments where crime can increase. Reference the Point various reports on political instability and crime in the Gambia 2022-2023. Gambia Bar Association, Corruption and Injustice. The Bar Association has issued statement regarding the impact of corruption and on justice system, on the justice system. They have noted that when officials are not held accountable for corruption or for corrupted practice, it undermines the rule of law and contributes to environment where crime can thrive. Reference is Gambia Bar Association Reports on Corruption Injustice System 2023. Mr. Speaker, adjudicators, fellow honorable, and respected audience present in this house. My second point is poor judiciary system. Delay in trials, corruption in the court, or inefficient handling of cases could also lead to increase in crime rate due to lack of terrain. Mr. Speaker, I have a very important reference that can support this point. That is the World Bank Governance and Justice Reports, or the local news, judiciary inefficiency and crime. Gambian media outlets such as Point and Foroya have reported on various causes, highlighting judiciary inefficiency and corruption. Article on discussion, these issues affect public trust in legal system and lead to increased criminal behaviors. Reference is Point various report on judiciary inefficiency and crime in the Gambia 2022-2023. To summarize of my important point, Mr. Speaker, I am here to give the summary of these two important reference points that I have been made. Political instability or poor governance, when the government is unable or poorly managed, it often leads to inefficient leadership, policy failures, and unable to properly address key issues like crimes and security. These instabilities can create power vacuum.
Deputy Prime Minister, your time is up. Thank you very much. I'll pass him now back to you.
It appears that your time is up, Mr. Deputy Prime Minister. Mr. Deputy Prime Minister. Let's now hear from the last speaker, that is the opposition whip. Thank you.
While the increase in crime rates in the Gambia is concerning, it is very simple, Mr. Prime Minister, to blame the current regime for these complex issues. Crime rates are influenced by a variety of factors. Greetings, Mr. Honorable Speaker, panel of judges, my opponents, and ladies and gentlemen. My name is Modula Brede. Before going into the debate, I would like to give my structure of the debate, which reads, I will tribute, give some points, and as well as summarize and conclude. Mr. Prime Minister, you made mention of criminals. Talking about criminals, is the responsibility of the government to cut those criminals and prosecute them into justice. Criminals start from home. Lack of home training. When I talk about lack of home training, these criminals are grown in societies, and those societies have all these criminals, which leads them causing a lot of commotions and a lot of crimes in the society, which is not the responsibility of the government for those crimes, but it's the responsibility of the government to cut those criminals that are in the society and brought them to justice. I'll talk about the socio-economic factor. Yeah. Unemployment, poverty, and lack of educational opportunities and home training. For example, in a report of 2020 by UN Force Office of Drug and Crime emphasizes the socio-economic factors significantly that contributes to high crime rate in the world, in Gambia as a particular, which the government is not to be blamed, but let's talk about the social media. Social media. People in the social media, example of Kex. We all witnessed that few days back, Kex has posted a message in WhatsApp, in Facebook, using an image of Honorable Talib Bensouda. Which is not the responsibility of the government, but we, the society that we are grown on, we are the one causing these crimes. And the government is just there to help and reduce and prevent these crimes that are committed by us, the people. But the government is not to be blamed of such crimes. Mr. Honorable Speaker, going to my next point, I'll talk about the global trends. Crime rate can also be influenced by global trends and external factors, such as the impact of the COVID-19. The impact of the COVID-19, which has caused economic strain, particularly in the Gambia and the world in general. It is reported by World Bank shows that the economic downturn can lead to increase in crime rate, which the government is not to be blamed by. The government has nothing to do with the COVID-19 pandemic. These are things that cause crimes, which has nothing to do with the government. The government is just there to put measures and reduce these crimes that are caused by us. Let's talk about the historical factor. My next point will be the historical factor. The historical context. Crime rates have been on rise even before the current regime. Mr. Prime Minister, going back to the historical factor, back then in the history, people will live in their homes when the society will attack them and overpower them, sold them into slavery, which the government has nothing to do with. Those crimes has been committing still date, which the government has nothing to do with such crimes. Blaming the government without considering historical trends and underlying issues is just baseless. Yeah. And Mr. Honorable Speaker, in that, I would like to summarize by giving my points. In summary, the government plays I mentioned 3 points. Points like social factor, global trends, and historical factors. And I would like to conclude by saying, while government plays a role in crime prevention, it is crucial to consider the broader socio-economic, historical, and global trends, understanding the rise in crimes in the Gambia, which the government has nothing to be blamed about. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Deputy Opposition Leader, for those wonderful points. At this point, we'll now like to declare the debate closed, and as the judges will now like to tabulate the results and get back to you as swiftly as possible. Thank you.
Thank you so very much for those wonderful debates. And as we wait for the judges to compile the results of the debate to see which state will move on to the next round and which state is going back home today. If you have any suggestions regarding the motion for today, you can please raise your hand and I will let you in and you share in your contributions while we wait for the results. Mr. Jallo, you can come in, please.
Hello, assalamu alaikum everyone. It's nice to be here. Actually, I don't have an opinion or a remark to give, but I just want to say something. Over here in India, it is 6 o'clock right now. It is time for our Maghrib prayer. I think you guys can just give us 10 minutes for us to go and pray and come back because it's time right now. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. I think we can take 5 to 10 minutes break. We go for Maghrib prayers and come back while they compile the results. Mr. President, you have anything to say?
Yeah. I would like to give a suggestion if possible concerning the prayer. You know, like India is so diverse. Some might be praying around 7:30 or something like that. So what I can suggest is that maybe since they are working on the results, people can go and pray. Whatsoever is discussed here is not now important, but I believe like before they are done, they'll be done with prayers. I'm sure with that. So meaning people can still continue to give their suggestions. This is just a small tip talk, you know, while these people are compiling the results.
Okay. I think that is noted. Let's take 5 to 10 minutes break and pray and come back.
He seemed to not understand what you were trying to put across.
And I believe DK already left.
We can just continue to see because
Okay,
the
yeah.
president mentioned different places have different praying times of custom. So it's better we make a balance, right? The ones that if it is time for your state to pray or whatsoever, you can pray. While you leave the others to be inside it.
Yeah, I believe like those that are going to pray can go and pray. And those that are not going to pray right now, maybe 7, those that pray around 7 can continue. Anyone have a suggestion or something to say? You can still come up. You with your bad network.
Yes, I'm using Comium. Okay, like you people suggested. If you have any contribution or anything to say pertaining to today's topic, you may please come in whilst others are praying. Thank you. Manima, you know what? Can I hear?
Misambo, your hand is still up. Oh.
Mommy, I missed the last part of the debate. I was at a place that on the ground connection is sometimes wahala. So I was even asking, has the deputy opposition leader spoken? Because I wouldn't get the part.
You
I
missed
think
not.
it's recorded. Then you can
Sorry.
you can still
Hello.
go back to the page and listen.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, you are able.
Okay. I just want to give my verdict about this point. That is about the motion that is debated. I can say that is like the current regime should be blamed for the high crime rate in the country. So I believe here, like, we need to strike a balance, like between the government or the current regime and them who are responsible for those crimes. But at the end of the day, it's not the government that will come out and commit those crimes. So the people that commit these crimes, I can say they are from us. And as far as they are from us, they are from a house. And therefore, that's where I believe everything should start. Good education start at home. So therefore, I believe that's where now Gambia, we are lacking somehow. Looking at it, I believe most of these crimes are like committed by people with poor parenting, I can call it poor parenting. So therefore, as individuals that belong to a society, I believe it's high time we go back to the drawing board and ensure that, we look at where we are heading to. A child that is well educated, well mannered, well trained will not go outside and commit certain crimes. That person will even be ashamed to be involved in certain, criminal acts. But now what happened? You like every Gambian, like now in the Gambia, in the Gambia, before I leave the Gambia, that is around 2 years ago or less than that. Every society you go, you have a ghetto. And that ghetto now is not even occupied by people, above 18, but those that are even 10 years, within that thing. So these kids, they are not afraid of anyone. They will do whatsoever they feel like doing within that area. And at the end of the day, what happened? They'll end up being protected by the society and by their families. So these people now, when they end up coming to this society now, when they have that power and start doing what they want to do or start, like being involved in these criminal activities, therefore, I believe the government cannot be blamed 100% for it. Therefore, we have to look at ourselves again. So coming to, again, something that is very important, like as Africans, we are known for our valuable culture. But I believe the West is trying to change that ideology. Looking at before, most of us here, we attended some schools. I can say some time back, you have a teacher that you fear to the extent that whatsoever you are doing, if they told you that I will report you to Mr. This or Miss This, forget it. You won't do it again. But nowadays, even if a teacher touch you, your parents will take the teacher to the police station, or they will take certain actions against him, like even to humiliate that particular individual. So where are we going to have now good training? So at the end of the day now, this is what is reflected in our society. And as individuals, I believe we should start advocating for this, because the criminal activities going on in the country is so alarming. After that, also talking about like the drug dealing, because most of these people that are engaged in these criminal activities used to consume drug. So that's what do help them to be not in their senses when they are doing this kind of things. This drug dealing activity, the people that are supplying, most of them, I can say, even if a foreigner is involved, the people helping that particular foreigner must be within the society, must be Gambians. And those people, at the end of the day, when police come for patrol or patrolling, we are the very one that will hide those people. So at the end of the day, you will see that it will be very difficult for government sometimes to apprehend some of these, criminals, because of what we, the society, do help them. So if you are helping them now, what do you think? You might help someone, that this one is a criminal. You are helping him. He knows you. He might not hurt you. But at the end of the day, he might end up, affecting someone who you do not know. And you yourself, that person you hide, know that someone also is hiding another criminal. And that criminal might end up affecting you. So therefore, I believe as Gambians, it's high time we go back to the drawing box and look at where we are heading to, where are we going, and then ensure that we work properly and ensure that, our parents take their respect of their responsibilities and ensure that good manners are put in their children and to ensure that the society is safe and everyone is safe. So for me, that's my submission on this particular point. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Mr. President. I think if Delhi advance to the next round, you are going to represent them because you have mentioned very great points here. And I think we need to change our attitudes in the Gambia. We need attitudinal change, for us to see the Gambia we want. With that, I will just say thank you to you. And Sajo, your hand is up. Do you have anything to share with us?
Yes, of course, I have something to share with you all, but I'm by the roadside. I only hope and believe that I'm quite audible.
Okay, you are audible.
I am headed home now. Yes. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for giving me this unique opportunity. Yeah, so as it stands, I think I would just like to deliberate on what the president made mention of. And that is, as we talk about the goose, we must as well talk about the gander. In a sense, this motion is quite contemporary and it's a very important topic. As we're all aware, when it comes to crime rates increasing in the country, it's just uncontrollable and unbearable at some point. So as it stands, we'd have to throw shades on both sides, that is the government and as well the citizenry. And by the citizenry, it entails all of us. You being, how do I put it, either working in the government or you're not working there. You are still part of the government at some point because you are part of the country at some point. So essentially, as far as the motion is concerned, I think attitudinal change is very, very eminent in this whole stuff because just as the president mentioned, we're all from homes. And if we're able to get enough home training, I believe most of us would get home trainings, but then the practicalizing of it is actually where the whole problem comes. So essentially, I think attitudinal change is one of the things that we have to look into. And we have to look inwards as far as that is concerned, because that has to do with us as individuals. So aside that also, when you come to the side of the government, I think they have a greater tax. Just as the president mentioned, when you talk about these drugs here and there, like for instance, the kush and things of that sort, when individuals or when youths in our society take these things, at some point they're not themselves. So they tend to do a lot of things that, in fact, they themselves wouldn't realize until afterwards. So as far as that is concerned, I think law enforcement is something that we really have to look into. And at some point for the debaters, I was expecting them to come up with some statistics that would have to do with, let's say, just these days, I can't really remember the news, but then I believe some lawyers, I think, but some of these guys working in the judiciary and some of the law enforcement officers were brought before the court for actually, I think, selling some exhibits or selling some things of that sort that have to do with drugs. So, as the proposer at some point could have come up with something of that sort to actually defend his stance. And aside that, also, I think. We also need to look at some aspects like the economic hardship because that is what results to at some point some of these individuals embarking on the illegal migration here and there or irregular migration as activists would put it. So at some point when these individuals travel, let's say through this back way or through the Mediterranean Sea to for greener pastures, down the line when they are being deported, like at some point they're the ones that will become these criminals here and there. So I think the economic hardship also contributes as far as the side of the government is concerned. Okay, I'll do that. So, but then again, that should not be an excuse for us as individuals because we expected to be at least quite, how do I put it, innovative and creative in everything that we do. Yep, someone might argue we need the capacity, we need the capital to do certain things. But again, counting starts at one. We have to take the lead in order to be able to be on board as far as some of these things are concerned. So the last thing that I'd like to highlight, okay, bye-bye, see you later. The last thing that I'd like to highlight on is actually going to be on corruption and impunity. So at some point, so we're all aware of some of the corruptions that would take place. And, just as we all know, there's this saying that says, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. We're all aware of the fact that the individuals that we have in a position tend to have that, how do I put it, that, would I say autonomy or whatsoever, but then they tend to have absolute power. And if that happens, you tend to see a lot of corruption here and there going. So these are also part of factors that would contribute as far as the Gambia's, the increase in the crime rates and things of that sort are concerned. So as it stands, I believe at some point the individuals would have something to present, and it seems there are a lot of hands that are up. While I pray Maghrib, have a pleasant, would I say, night or okay, give chance to the others. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Jaju, for those contributions about the topic being discussed today. Mr. Modu Luis, what is your contribution towards the motion for today?
Yeah, assalamu alaikum to everyone that is present here today. Am I audible, please?
Yeah, you are.
Okay. Me, from where I wanted to jump in, I just wanted to counter our president a little bit because he mentioned that like attitudinal change and home training, that is the reason of all of this. But what I want to say is, I think on my own perspective that the government is to be blamed, if not 100%, but at 90%, the government should be blamed. Because one, these drugs that are coming into the Gambia, they are not falling from the sky to come into the Gambia, so that these people will consume it and cause crimes. These drugs are coming through the borders of the Gambia. So if there was a proper border control, drugs will not enter in the Gambia, or certain type of drugs, if not all, certain type of drugs will not enter the Gambia. I'll just make it very brief. Secondly, if you realize around back in Yaya Jammeh era, that Senegambia area, like I was not legal by then, but that Senegambia area, they don't allow you to enter there. If you are not at the legal age, you don't enter. Even if you are in a car with an adult, they find it very difficult to let you in that Senegambia area. But now you will see children less than 15 years, they are allowed to go inside those areas. And that is where it starts. Home training is just not from, let's say, when you are born to 10 years. Home training takes a lot. Some people are even home trained for 2 centuries. You understand? For 2 decades rather. So what I'm saying is, these drugs, they should not be available to children by, if it is easy for them, they will become addicted to it. And it starts from a very, very little age. Even if we check in the Western world, in America, for example, there are certain drugs, people cannot access it, even if they are 18. You have to be 21 or 22 to access certain type of drugs. But right now in the Gambia, you will see a 15-year-old holding a cigarette and smoking in public, and nothing's going to happen. The government should put tax on these people who are selling this type of, being a drug or something that is not for children. Because that is where, that age is where it starts. Before you become an adult to cause a crime, it starts from a certain age. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I will not take much time, but thank you very much for letting me in. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Luis, for those contributions, and your opinions are respected. You are saying that at some point the government have to be blamed for the crime rates in the Gambia. Do we have Mr. Njai with us, please? What are your opinions about the topic?
Thank you very much. I just want to challenge Mr. Lewis as the debate continues. I would beg to differ. To be honest, I would say if blame is to be done, it will be 50-50 then. Yeah, let's make it 50-50 then. Because to be honest, the government cannot do it all. The government cannot control everyone. The government cannot control all borders. That's the hard fact. Go to the United States, go to any country, drugs are coming in and out every minute. I think the people and the attitudes are also important. Home trade is key, bro. If you and I, Luis, knows the effects of drug, we would not use it because we are well trained. Someone that was not well trained would think it's okay. Look at the queues. You know, you touch queues, you die, or you go crazy. You start using queues. These are problems with people, peer influence and the likes. You just feel like you can do whatever you want and nothing comes out of it. And in this era of human rights, what can you do? Even if the police have to arrest, the next minute is the time is 72 hours, he should be released on bail. How many times is this drug dealer been arrested? The old guy, all of you knows. And nothing comes out of it because the next minute, So the problem is the people, I think. The attitude has to change, the people has to change, the mindset has to change. If these things are not changed in the human being, no one dares change this world. No one, no government, no any other, even an AI cannot change the system. People have to change themselves. Then the government can complement and just implement the policies and help to strengthen things. But to be honest, the attitudes are more important and they are key here. Yes, thank you.
Wow. Thank you so very much, Mr. Njai. Even AI cannot change it. People have to change. The attitudes have to be changed. But before I give chance to Bokar Jallo, Mod Louis, your hand is still up. Do you want to debunk his points or what? Mod Louis.
Okay. Yes. You were saying. Sorry, I was taking a push.
Your hand is still up. I mean, whether you have something to say to Mr. Njai again. Since Mr. Njai is saying it's a 50-50.
Yeah, I guess I have to agree to that one because I cannot I cannot just say like it's the government. I guess that is very wrong.
Okay.
I guess people have their own responsibilities too. Anything you do, you have to be, you have to take the responsibility for that because nobody is forcing you to do anything. Yeah, with your common senses. But anyway, that was just an opinion because like everyone react to what uh let me say everyone react to what they see and like they don't want it or it pains them. So that is the point I was starting from. Maybe I could have looked at it in a general view. That's it. But I really appreciate what Mr. Abdullah said. Yeah, I really appreciate that. I'll pay a good attention to that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Luis. Mr. Jallo, can you please come in again now?
Yeah, hello. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yeah, so I just want to give a bit of remarks about this topic. Me personally, I think most of the blame should be on the government because, like, if we look at it from its perspective, we should not only look at the people what they are doing, but we have to look at the environment or the circumstances where they exist in because, like, who you are as a person is individual, but where you exist, your environment plays a huge role in what you do in life or who you become. So what I mean by that is like when we look at the Gambian society or the Gambian environment where the people live, we will then start to say, okay, is it their fault or not their fault? Because like when if you are in America and you have all the opportunities and you don't make use of them, then you are the person to be blamed. But if you are in a country like Gambia or Sudan or a very very underdeveloped country with very very like no or very few to infrastructure and everything like some if you we cannot say you are not making use of the opportunities when there are no opportunities. So coming back to this topic, like we have to look at the people, like we have to look at the youths and see that some of these youths are committing crimes or they are taking drugs not because they want to, but it is the environment that they are exposed to. And why are they exposed to this environment is number one is lack of control. Like Luis was saying, it is lack of control, like on these drugs that are coming in. Even though the government is doing well, but we have to look at it also in from the perspective like, okay, do the youths have something to be focused on if they are not focused on drugs? For example, do they have job opportunities? Do they have the right environment that can actually sift their minds from committing crimes and using drugs, like and to be focused on something else? But we have to know that people cannot just be dormant. Human beings, we cannot just sit in one place and do nothing. You can either be good at doing something positively or you are good at doing something negatively. At some point in your life, if you are not in the jail, you will be a successful person. You can either be good, you can either be excellent in one area of life, which is being excellent in the positive side of life, or being excellent in the negative side of life. So the youths have one option, either to like have a good life, or they go out there and follow the current system, which is what we are talking about here, going to the back way or using drugs or sit around and be depressed. So my whole point is that if the government work hard enough to provide the right environment, which is what an environment where there are opportunities for the youths, most of them will be diverted towards that instead of just sitting dormantly and having the time and the freedom to be doing other things which are illegal and also harmful to them. So I believe that the government should work hard enough to provide the right environment for that. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so very much. I believe the government should work hard to give the right environment to the youths. Those are the contributions of Mr. Jallo, and we really appreciate it. Just a reminder to Mr. Bide and the team, should in case you guys are done with the calculations of the results, you can just let us know while we are making some discussions here. Do we have anyone to make some contributions about the topic? Mr. Njai, your hand is up.
Yes, of course, if Mr. Bite is not coming as yesterday, because we just want to keep people listening, because the topic is really important and interesting. Like Louis just concluded, people should be responsible of their action. Mr. Jallo. Yes, the government have a role to play. I agree entirely. But again, not the government as a whole. People have to be responsible of everything. You and I knows the effects of that and we refrain from that because we have our 5 common senses. We think we reason and we choose the better way. Why would others use the opportunity of there is no job and just stay and be like hanky-panky and want to blame the government? It's too cheap. I think sometimes we need to do something for the government, not always waiting for the government to do something for us. Who is the government? Who is responsible? It's us, you and I, your uncle and my uncle are people that are there. Yes, there is leadership, there is administration that should do much more better. Yes, I agree. But again, it doesn't stop there. Everyone has a role to play, including the youth one, especially the youth. In the Gambia, it's just easy to say there is no job and stay at home. And while some others are sacrificing, these people from the foreign countries, you know them. I will not make mention of countries that are in the country working and making a lot of money. But the youth don't choose those kind of work because they said it's a dirty job. So why would you just want to blame the government? Till when? It's too easy to use the blame just to blame game and then to blame the government. We as youth should take responsibility of our actions, like Louis said. And I very appreciate that. We really have to do something than just to blame. Yes, I agree that they need to also create some enabling environment. That is true. But provided that we're also ready. Yeah, we are ready. If they're here, we are there. If they are not, we still have to struggle for our life. You struggle to come to here to study. You struggle to go to school. You struggle to do a lot of things for yourself because you know it's a responsibility. And you are health trained, exactly, which is also very important from the background you're coming from. This is why you choose the right way. Why would others stay and take advantage of, okay, the government is not doing this, so I have to choose the wrong way, I do the wrong thing. And later you come blame the government. This is like, I just go to the street and sit down on the highway when car hit me, I would blame the driver. I think it's sometimes too easy to do that. Let's blame partially. I would agree, but not entirely, to be honest. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Jalo, and over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Njai, for those contributions. Mr. Mbo, the floor is yours, please.
Yes, all right, good. Just to come back, like for Mr. Lewis, sorry. Like I'm someone from Farafanya, therefore I know I have some little knowledge about this border issue. I can tell you this for free. People like me, I can take you to Senegal without passing any border. It's not that the country is not secure or whatsoever. It's because, how borders are structured, there is a way out every time. And these ways are known by the indigenous of that particular, place. So therefore, all these people bringing drugs to the country, whether they use the border or whatsoever, I don't say like we should not blame the government. The government should be blamed. But I believe even people like get into the society with these drugs, if there is proper parenting, if there is like good parenting, that won't affect us. I can tell you this for free. So that's why I was so concentrating on, proper parenting, that is like, and the society itself. You come again, as I was saying, if someone is arrested, within 24 hours or within 72 hours, they say he have to be charged. If not, they have to be released. All those law things, like they contribute a lot to the damage in the society. So that's why also the government is also trying. The government is trying because sometimes you see that they'll be going to patrol, regularly, but they cannot have police for every individual, or you cannot have the police in every, place every time. So that's where the society have to play. Sometimes even us, we can be our own police officers. We can, when we see something that some irregularities going on in our society, we can report to the police station. But how many of us will do that? Very few. And even if someone started, the society will start. Kini. So that's how we are used to. So no matter come Gambia, it will be very difficult, like to tackle crime cases. Definitely, it will be very difficult. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mbo. Thank you. Abuakar's hands is up. Abuakar, you can come in and answer to Mr. Mbo, please.
Yeah, thank you for that. So to Mr. Mbo and Abdullah, like your points are very, very important and they really hold value. But I'm still gonna come back to that. Like I was saying, the environment is very, very important because the environment is what breeds a child and then grows a child. For example, in the Gambia, when a child is growing up, what they see is what they know. For example, some kids, they start to go to black market at young age. And if you grow like that, what do you think of? Like going to black market and sell. And all the other things that you see around you is at the end of the day, those are the types of dreams and aspirations you are gonna have. But if you are not grown in such environment, let's say you grow up in an environment where people are are working, where people are involved in economic development and all of those things, you will have kids now having the like the concepts of, okay, me, I wanna be this type of person when I grow up. I wanna be an entrepreneur. I wanna own these businesses. I wanna do these things. If you were in that environment, and also if we look at according to the statistics, let's say now if we are to blame the parents, it means that because a parent is supposed to like grow a child and give them good moral educations from the age of 0 to the age of 18. So when we look at the Gambia right now, who are committing the crimes right now? Is it the people, or is it the youths that are below 18, or is it the youths that are above 18? And we can sit here and say, even without checking the statistics, but even though it is necessary, we can say that the people that are committing the crimes above 18 years is more than 60% or 70% or more than 80%. Well, we can still say that there are few kids who are below 18 that are committing the crimes. But if most of the crimes are being committed by adults, it means that we cannot blame the parents, because they have been giving them good home training from their age of 0 to 18. So the rest is from their 18 years to their till they are no more on this planet, and that period of time is from 18 to 18 upwards. And what this phase of their life from 18 and upwards is a phase whereas they are supposed to be exposed to the right environment and opportunities. If you are in the Gambia right now and you are 18 years old and you are not seeing the opportunities in front of you, then you might start to like see other ways to make a living. And due to that lack of opportunities, now you are engaged in other activities, and that is caused by the lack of the opportunities that the youths are being given to by the personnel who are responsible for that. And also we are saying we should not you guys are saying we should not blame the government. Yes, it is true, some people are just too stubborn. But we have to know that also a government, as far as you say you are a government doesn't mean that you are only going to be in the offices and patrolling and having and controlling things in a certain way. You have to be responsible for the ins and outs of every country. It's like you are the mother and the father of the country. If you say I'm a president or I'm the government, you have to know that that is not just something like you winning election or being a politician. It comes with a lot of responsibility. If you can do it, you should take up the task. If you cannot, then stay away. It is a huge responsibility. They have to take responsibility to provide opportunities for the. If the Gambian youths are not employed today, we cannot say we blame the youths. It is the government's responsibility. That's why they are called a government. They have to provide the right environment, because you see the environment is the most important thing. Without an environment, existence doesn't happen. We exist on top of an environment, then we follow the rules and regulations of that on that environment. So I believe the government should take up the responsibility and do more, provide more opportunities for the youth. And if these opportunities are not there, then we can now start blaming the youth. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Jallo, for that. Maud Louis, your hand is up again. You want to come in? Do we have Maud Louis here? Since we don't have anyone to give some contributions about the topic.
Wait, I think Mamadou Diallo's hand was up. Mamadou Diallo. I saw Mamadou Diallo.
Yeah. Sorry. What I was saying is, hello.
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah. What I was saying is, this topic is very important, and we are really learning from the likes of Mr. Abdullah and Bo. So what I'm saying is, if like the moderators are here, they can continue with the result. Then after, the people who want to stay, we can still stay and get educated by Mr. Abdullah and Bo. And secondly, what I want to say is references of the debate. If you can convey this to the moderators, references. Can we give references without mentioning names? Because I guess this debate will be published on YouTube, and like I guess it will be unnice to mention some people's names that are present in the Gambia if you want to give references. So I'm asking, can we give references without mentioning actual names? That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Thank you.
Your point is noted.
Can I come there? Can I come there, please, Mom, Luis? you know this is a competition, so all those references are part of the portions that marks are allocated to debaters. So whether the debaters give references or not, those adjudicators will know how to adjudicate it, and they will know how to give it. In debate, we all know if you have to give a reference, you need to quote, give a reference of who reported it, when, where, how. So in all those points are all areas where the adjudicators allocate marks. In a case that they did not give, this is a debate. If it is on the media, it's a debate. Yes, they say this one reported, but they don't give any proof. It's a debate. Sometimes they will know, but due to the hecticness of the debate or the press or so whatsoever, they will not be able to say it. That is something that is not control them. But as a matter of fact, I don't think we need to relate that to the educator, because all the educators, they were watching this thing, and they were considering those points for the fact that they need to allocate marks based on those points. I hope I'm clear. Thank you.
Yeah,
About you,
Manima.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry for interrupting. Manima, what I'm saying is these topics are very sensitive and you cannot be mentioning like somebody's relatives that are like that commit a crime or something. That's what I'm saying. That's where from the perspective I'm talking about. I'm not talking about who published it or something. That's not
Yeah.
the problem. But you mentioning the person who committed crime, that's the way I'm good. Anyway, I'll not take that risk. Even if it is to lose marks, I'll not do it because like at the end I'm going back to the Gambia and I'm going to meet those people there. So anyway, I will not take that risk. I'm just asking.
Thank you.
I understand. I get your point. But remember, this is a debate, so it's left to
Manima,
you. Even me, I will not take. I will not take
Manima,
references. If you can,
Man-
yeah.
Manima, can you please give us some time, please? We have some people that want to share in their contributions. Can we have Mamadou Jallo, please?
Yes, good evening to everyone. I've missed some very important parts. I think the likes of Louis, Mr. President, and Njai, even Babukar, I just listened to the last part of his deliberations. But I believe it is very interesting, and this is something that we can discuss even at national level, as it affects everybody, whether directly or indirectly. Coming to the topic, when it comes to crime, we have to look at our education system. I want to take this to another angle, that is our education system. What kind of education system do we have, and who are the stakeholders, direct stakeholders of this education? I believe the reason why we take our kids to school, whether formal or informal, is to instinct some moral beliefs and cultural features that depicts our beliefs and our culture and our religion as Gambians. If that is not done, 1, 2, 3 or ABC cannot take our country anywhere, because at the end of the day, education is a two-sided sword. It's a double sword. We can say like you can use this for goodness. You can also use it for bad aspect. I can remember an uncle once told me, "Yen jangakati yena ya hadde kami." I told him, "What do you mean?" He said, "I've been following the TRRC. I've never seen any Gainako there. I have been a Gainako since in the 90s, but nobody called me in the TRRC. All I saw was people who were going to work with suit and tie, and in fact, they were giving lunch and everything. So at the end of the day, it's like we were sponsoring you to come and spoil our country." I laughed, but then there was sense of truth in that. And all this comes to what kind of education are we giving our kids? Coming to the village, I've taught in the village, and I also taught in the combos. But in the combos, you realize that there's always risk in disciplining students. I've been in the school management. Sometimes when you send these kids home to call their parents, when the parents come, they side with their kids in front of everybody. They side with their kids. The first thing that they will tell you is that suma dom bi melut nonu. Wow, how ma nak fi nu mel ni ndax munuma comme I cannot munuma mimal suma dom waye nak suma dom amu jiko bobu. That is the indirect telling you that he or she don't trust what the report that the kid is being accused of. So you realize that at the end of the day, it's like the mom or the dad is supporting the kid. So how can we discipline them? Corporal punishment is out of it. That one is not there. Now, other aspect of punishment that we can do, some students don't even care. Some students today, if you send them home, they don't care. So now, what can we do? What kind of education can we give that will suit the moral and cultural belief that actually we are yearning for? This is, I think, that is what we should try to answer. In the village, I experience, parents will come and tell you, in front of the student, you will beat them. In front of the parents, you will beat them. They will not say anything. So you realize that even though the morality at the village is also declining, but then we have more moral at the village than when you come to the combo. I stand to be corrected. It's just my observation. But I think it's the way that we perceive or the way that we take our kids. At the end of the day, the way they are molded inside this, the home, that's how they take themselves to the school. And if school cannot change them, then they surface in the environment or in the street differently. Now, coming to the government have a very big role to play, yes. But the aspect of the government that I will blame is the judiciary aspect. We know our police, with all the limited resources that they have, when crime is mentioned in this, in how to call it, in the Gambia, within few days or hours, the police will make sure that those culprits are taken care of. But now we have a system which all of us subscribe to, that is the Constitution. The Constitution says you cannot, how to call it, have somebody more than 72 hours without a bail, except for other criminal aspects. So the police is powerless there. They must grant bail where necessary before 72 hours, before they exhaust the 72 hours. So these are systems that we create and we can change them, because it is not just done there by an angel. It is us who did it there. We can still change it. So, but when these people go to the judiciary, how long are these cases taking place? You realize that there are some very severe cases in the Gambia that have been taken, that have been continuing for over 2 years now. We cannot still have justice, and justice denied is justice delayed is justice denied. So I think this is an aspect that we have to look at. If we don't have enough judiciary, let us just do how we were doing before. Let's bring the Nigerians and others who were helping us here before. If some of us can remember, we used to have a lot of Nigerians here. Now that we want to take care of our own judiciary and things are taking time to prosecute somebody with even accused of murder cases and other things, then what can we do? So I think that is an aspect that we have to also look at. Because the government is part of is three. We have the three arms of government. Those of you who does government understand this more than me. So I may not blame the government generally, but I will look at the judiciary as an aspect that I can blame. I have seen very delayed how to call it court proceedings. In fact, 15 minutes adjourned to next day, another month. Within 30 minutes adjourned. When will these cases complete? So I think this is something that we have to look at. Coming to other aspect also, the corruption, it's still us. We can still advocate for that. For me, I have been advocating for it. We need capital punishment for severe corruption. Corruption is as worse as, how to call it, as murderer. Because today, if you embezzle millions, those millions should have provided clean water, hospital, and other services. If babies die in that community, you are the one who killed them. Let us be frank. And we must have to bring these things to board and advocate for it. If not, people will be going with our monies like that. And not just only our money, but our future generation. You are taking billions. If they are accused anyway, I stand to be corrected. I have not, how to call it, I have not read any legal document or court proceedings that specifically stated a particular corruption. If there is any also, just few. I think last time there are some instances that, like the COVID fund and the like. Yes, something like that. But then all the accusations of corruption that we are hearing, the judiciary can take action on it, and if those people are found wanting, they should be dealt with seriously. We should have a no compromise against corruption if we want a very how to call it a decent country. If not, we cannot. So thank you so much, and sorry for any how to call it issues that come from me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Jallo. You have mentioned a lot of points, and I think these are very, very important points. But just a gentle reminder to the judges and the team, so in case you guys are ready to step in, you can just notify me, and I will allow you to get in. Do we have the assistant, the academic secretary here with us, Khadija? Okay, Bide is ready to join. Over to you, Mr. Bide.
Abdul Karim.
Yes, can you please step in for me for 10-15 minutes, please?
That's right there.
Okay. I think Bide's hand is up, so you can continue from there.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Bute, you may please come in.
Okay, thank you very much, Khadija and Abubakar, for that. So I'll just start with the feedbacks. I'll give feedbacks and then I'll hand over again to Al Qasim. So I'll mention that these feedbacks are very important. I hate to be blunt with the feedbacks because I know it can be demoralizing, but it's also important. What I know as well is it would improve you when you're debating next time, or when you're faced with or on a similar platform. So I'll be very direct with the feedbacks that I'll personally give. So I'll start with the Prime Minister, then to the opposition leader, and Deputy Prime Minister and Deputy Opposition Leader. So first with the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister, you gave a structure that you were going to define the key terms, set a parameter, give your points, and summarize if you had time. And that was exactly what you did, which was good. So on to your definition of key terms, they were very good. You defined almost all the key terms. But I mentioned last week, because there was a motion that was associated, all the motions are associated with the Gambia, but there was this particular motion that had the Gambia in it. But the Gambia was not defined. Again, I told you, you don't assume that we know what some of the key terms are in the motion or what they mean. You need to explain them. And the definition of the Gambia here and the definition of the Gambia last week could be very, very different. If you're defining the Gambia and you want to relate it to crime, it would be very different from you defining the Gambia and relating it to being a very peaceful country. So when you're defining, you should be bold about defining all the key terms and not assume that as judges we know what some terms mean and the motion. So the definitions I said were very good because you define blame, you define current regime, and you define crimes too. But you did not give your source. So where are these definitions coming from? Did you pick them from the streets, from the markets, from a dictionary? Where did you get them from? You did not tell us. So you set a parameter that you were going to focus on the crimes that were committed from 2017 to date, which was good, right? Which is good that you set a parameter. I think it so much resonates with the motion. If I were you, I would have cornered it more tight. I would have made it more tight to the opposition side, but it's you, and I don't expect you to think exactly like me. We're very different. So your parameter was very, very, very. It was good that you set a parameter, and it was beneficial, and I'll explain later when I get to addressing some points. So your points were law enforcement, the economic hardship, and the corruption. Personally, I feel the law enforcement you could have explained better. Because if there are law enforcement agencies here and crimes are increasing, it means that is not enough, right? So when you're coming, well, yes, but that which is good. But I felt you could have done better with the explanation of the law enforcement agencies. So the economic hardship, I believe, was the most explained among all the points that you mentioned. Corruption and impunity was also a very good one, but you could have explained better. So with all of these points that you brought, every point you mentioned, you gave reference to a particular thing, which is good, and we emphasized last week. But when you're giving reference, you just don't want to give reference for the sake of giving reference. Every point that you mentioned may not necessarily require references. And so when you're referencing, you want your references to match what you're saying. But if you just give reference and it's reference, I have given reference, I doubt if it would count. Personally, for me, it would not. Because if you say economic hardship, and you say, and my argument is that I am referencing something from Standard newspaper, and you did not tell us what is in that particular document, I doubt if that would not count for me as a reference. It's just a statement that you're making, just like every other thing that follows at the mention of that particular point. So I felt these 2 points could have been more explained, but it's not bad. You did a very good job, especially compared to last week. So it's a huge improvement from the Prime Minister. And you also concluded the summary and the conclusion very important, because when you're speaking, sometimes we may miss some of your points. We will just hear the explanation, but may not be able to grasp every point that you mentioned. So, but when you do the summary, you help us understand better what you've just done. So you had the time to do all of that, which was good. So with the opposition leader, you started by defining the key terms. I would advise always that when you start, give a structure. It's very good. It helps you. It helps you to flow, because when you're speaking, you remember, hey, I give a structure, and I'm supposed to follow the structure. But when you don't, now we would be hanging. We would be left hanging because we would not know what you're doing. Because for some people, they like to not, you do not have any responsibility of strengthening because you're the first speaker on your bench. But let's assume it's the deputy opposition leader. So if as a deputy opposition leader you do not give any structure, we would not know whether this man is strengthening first or reporting first. So which is of course subjective to the person that is speaking. So as opposition leader, give a structure. Because when you give a structure, we would know what you're doing, even if we lose track for a second. But if you don't, we would not know whether he is reporting or he's giving his own points in your case. So you did not give any structure, which was not a very, very good thing to start with. So just always, as advice, give a structure. You redefine the key terms. From my own personal perspective, I think the way you define the terms and the way the Prime Minister defined the terms were basically the same. There was not much difference. It was just the wordings that were different. And I mentioned, I don't know whether you guys were present during the training, that the responsibility of defining key terms is primarily on the Prime Minister. If the Prime Minister does not do a very good job with defining the key terms or narrows the terms in a way that it makes it very difficult for you as opposition leader to bring in any points, then it becomes your responsibility to redefine the key terms, but in a different way, not in the same way as the Prime Minister would define it. So don't waste your time as the opposition leader to redefine the key terms when they've already been defined by the Prime Minister in a way that it suits everything that you're going to say again. So some of the points were reported, or some of the points of the Prime Minister were reported, which is good, because mostly the rebuttals and the strengthening is one part that I think we all should improve on as far as this debate is concerned, because mostly we don't get people to come and strengthen or rebut the points of the members and the opposition bench respectively. But you did some reportings, yeah, not highlighting that I'm reporting, but it was you did a little reporters, yeah, establishment of commissions, yeah, and your points as well, I think, were good, but you could have always done better. So I am saying you could have done better because I believe this is a very wide motion, and we can question a lot of things. And you saw the comments after the debate that were coming up. Most of these could have been addressed during the debate. It does not count against you, but I just feel we could have done better with the motion. So all in all, that is it from me about the opposition leader. So back to the Deputy Prime Minister. So Deputy Prime Minister, you came back to redefine the key terms, which was we've emphasized last week that the second half or the second side of the house do not define the key terms. The definition is only reserved for the Prime Minister and, if necessary, the opposition leader. Deputies do not define the key terms, because when you define the key terms, it's like you're saying my Prime Minister did not do a very good job with defining the key terms, so I'll do it myself. When you both are working as a team, so it sends wrong indications, right? So as Deputy Prime Minister, it is not your responsibility to define the key terms. You agree with your Prime Minister, so why disagree by giving another definition, even though it was the same? But you don't do that. Definition of key terms, I'll stress again, is only reserved for the Prime Minister and, if necessary, the opposition leader, and not for the deputies. The deputies just get into strengthening and other things. So don't define the key terms, Honorable Deputy Prime Minister. You also gave parameter which was in line with the parameter that was given by the Prime Minister. So you don't do that. The Prime Minister does that, not the deputies. And even though it was the same wordings, the same everything, but it's not your responsibility to do that. So you gave different points to. So the points you presented, your points: political instability and poor governance. Again, with the references, you gave so much reference. Like every point that you mentioned, you would have reference, and the references most of the times would not. It will be very hard for me personally to link the reference to the point that you're emphasizing on, because the reference are too open. You just say I am referencing this, but what about that are you referencing? It's always hard to draw the justice system and all of that. So you give good points, but it's just too much emphasis on the references, and they're not really at par with the points that you mentioned. So I believe that is all with the deputy prime, and the strengthening was you did not strengthen any points of the prime minister. So lucky for you, there was no rebut. There was little rebuttals rather, but even if there is no rebuttals, it is your responsibility to strengthen it, give it more life, because once the point of your prime minister are rebutted, you need to come and bring it back to life. If you don't, you'll be losing points as a team. So that is why you are the deputy. Try to substantiate the points that are mentioned by the prime minister. With the rebuttals, again, you did not rebut any points of the opposition leader. So when you don't rebut, it means you're in agreement with everything that they're saying. So try rebutting every point that is mentioned by the opposition leader, especially in cases where there are not much points that are given. So the deputy opposition leader gave a structure that he was going to rebut, and he rebutted 2 points of the prime minister. That is the crime and the economic factor. No strengthening again was made. So he did not strengthening the points of your opposition leader. Even though there was no rebuttal of his points, it is your responsibility as deputy opposition leader to rebut the points that are mentioned to strengthen it rather, the points of your opposition leader. But you did not do much. You did not do any strengthening. The rebuttals he did you rebutted 2 points. Your own now to your own points. You mentioned social media, the global trend, and historical factor. Personally, I feel the points were very, very open. So with the social media, you tried referencing the attack on Talib, but I was listening to hear how you connect it to increase of crime, and it was not brought forward from my own assessment. But lucky for you, it's not just me that is doing the assessment. You brought about global trend and mentioned pandemic, but how is it increasing? How is it not? Like, try to relate it to the motion. I do not see the correlation in the motion, but of social media, the global trend, and historical factor, that is the slavery, right from slavery, that is where it started. Right. So if you want to talk during the slavery, what government meant during the slavery, and what it means now is very, very different. So if you want to contextualize slavery during the time of government during the time of slavery, you'd be going against yourself. So maybe next time just try to relate the points. The points are very, very good, but once you don't relate them, it becomes very difficult, because interpretation is very, very subjective. You can say something and somebody may say, hey, it's a very, very good one, and somebody else out there may say it's not a really good one. So that is it, and this is the most important. Substantiation of your points and making them relevant to the motion is most important, and I emphasized before the start of the debate, because it's 10 marks. If you do not do a very good job there, it becomes a problem. So yeah, and I don't want to bring the points that I would have brought if I were debating. I don't see myself as any better debater than any one of you. I believe if anyone is to go against me here, you would win. But I just feel you could have brought more points, right? You could have blamed the Jammeh government, because we're blaming the current regime. We could have just said, you don't necessarily have to pin the blame on individuals. The blame could have come from Jammeh regime. We could have said it all started in Jammeh regime. The killings, the unjudicial killings that happened during the Jammeh regime agitated the general public, and now they see it as a need to get back at this government. That is the point. You blame government, you blame you can blame local investors that are making life very difficult for Gambians. The poverty, you're not blaming the government. You're blaming the local, the the private institutions that are here. Of course, the government has a part to play, but they also have a part to play. Right. So when you pin it on individuals, not necessarily directly them, but you could pin it on other institutions and structures that we have in place. But yeah, all in all, I that is all from me, and I believe that I don't hope that was not really harsh, but yeah, everything from me, and over to you, Algassim.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I think you've touched on most of the parts that I really wanted to go into. I must say that was a very good feedback, and I do not think they'll feel that it's harsh. So now, just to go into mine, um, I believe that there's improvement as per what I've seen. Comparing this round to the first round, the last time, I can see that there is improvement, especially from the side of Fansu. So now, let's talk about the structure. I'm glad that they were able to come up with, all of them were able to come up with a structure, except one of them who came in with the definitions first. But just a quick reminder, structure is very important. It guides the judges, and it guides you also as a debater. So please do follow your structure. Do not only give the structure, but do follow your structure too. And now to emphasize on the importance of rebuttals. Most of you are not aware that rebuttals carry a lot of marks. Rebuttals, apart from the content, rebuttal carries 7.5 marks. So you guys should really make best use of the rebuttal marks and ensure that you rebut the points as you are supposed to. As we said earlier on, when you are debunking a point, raise the point that you want to debunk, say that you disagree with the point, and give us your alternative or your perspective as to why you disagree with the point. Now to the issue of asking a POI. This is one of the easiest ways in which you can earn a mark, but it's like most of you guys are not aware of it. So POI goes for 5 good marks. So as a debater, if you are not asked a POI, then you automatically have the 5 marks. So obviously, if you do not ask your opponent a POI, it's like you're saying take that 5 marks for free. It's all yours. So do ask POI. It really helps. Yes. Now to the issue of statistics, or should I say reference. I'm glad that both teams were able to come up with references and were able to give us real life examples, quoting from newspapers and TV stations, and that was a very good improvement too. So kudos to each and every one of you. I do not have much to say because the president has gone into details. Yeah. So now that being said, without wasting your time, I'll now like to give the results, if it's okay with the with the executive from GAM-IND. May I please proceed?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. So it's actually a difference of, so I say 3.75. So the government scored 68 points, and we have the opposition who scored 65.75. Yes. So that's all from us. Congratulations and wishing you all the best. Just to remind you that all of you are very good debaters. Like I said the last time, in as much as you're able to speak and express yourself, put across your points, you consider yourself as a very good debater. All you need to do is to do more research and, be following tutorials online too. And we are always available as the University of the Gambia Debate Association. You can also follow our social media handles. We are on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, and get access to more of the work that we do. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much for the results. Congratulations, MP, and hard luck to Delhi. Just a quick reminder before we close this meeting that tomorrow we have 2 sessions, and the first session will be between Haryana State and Gujarat, followed by Maharashtra versus Andhra Pradesh. So if we have the participants from all the 4 states, please be notified that tomorrow we are starting the debate with Haryana and Gujarat. Thank you. Can I please have Mr. Njai to give concluding remarks before we close this meeting?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening from India and good afternoon to those in the Gambia. Those are able.
Can I come in please before you close the meeting?
Okay, you can come in.
I'm very sorry.
All right.
If we still have Mr. Bide with us, Mr. Bide, can you please tell us just a little bit about the structure of the debate, because most of them are confused. So tomorrow we are going to have two teams that are going to debate. Just maybe 5 minutes clarification. I'm very sorry.
Hello, Khadija. I did not get that. I'm sorry. What were you saying?
Okay, like what I was trying to say. No, tomorrow this weekend we're going to drop two teams, right?
Yeah.
Are you with me? Okay.
3.
So most people don't understand that, because some people were asking me, is the qualification going to be based on points or what?
Right. So last week we had 3 rounds of debate, and the best team, the team with the highest point, qualified to the next round. That is why they're not debating they're not debating on this round. So this round, when you lose, you're out. I'm sorry. So every winner would qualify and join the team that qualified last week, and yeah, we would head to the semifinals.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Anjay, back to you. I think that is clear to those that we are making inquiries. Ms. Anjay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, once again, good evening from India and good afternoon to those in Gambia. On behalf of the academic department through the 8th Executive Council, I would wish to thank our able judges or legislators from the Association of University of Gambia and Student Debate Association. Thank you for the well done. Your input is very crucial here. You guys are really helping and coding with this. Thank you for your time. You can see the time difference and the busy schedule that you guys are still saving your time being part of this wonderful system. Thank you for the support. Thanks to our participants. There's no loser. Everyone has done wonders. Thank you very much, Bhopal and to Delhi. Thank you again, most especially to our audience, that is the General GAM-IND body, for logging in presently and following the debate. Thank you, everyone, and then see you tomorrow again to a more interesting and challenging debate, inshallah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Njai, and thank you, everybody here. See you tomorrow, inshallah, for another session of the quarterfinals of the Interstate Debate Championship. Good night.